And I thought Nightmare 5 was the goofiest movie ever made. Guys, how is everybody doing? Welcome back to my review series of the Nightmare on Elm Street, continuing on with the so-called final chapter of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, with Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. No joke, this was supposed to be the final Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And thank the fucking Lord, it wasn't. Before I dive into why those reasons I dislike this movie and why it would have been a horrible way to end off the character, here are my positives for Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. With my positives is the only death in this movie that I actually really thought was pretty cool and creative, and that was Carlos's death. Now, Carlos's character, he is deaf in one ear, and so there's a whole sequence which is really kind of stupid where Freddy's kind of taunting him, he makes him go deaf. He's kind of like messing around with him and all that, just like jumping right behind him, like screaming and be like, hey, hey, look behind you and all that, but he can't hear him, and then he gives him like this weird fighter hearing aid. I don't know. It looks stupid, and then it makes like everything sound so much like louder, and kind of makes his brain want to explode. Basically, how loud they are, and then like Freddy brings out this chalkboard, which is a really stupid way how he makes it like stretch and everything, and makes it bigger, and then he starts like rubbing his claws on it, and then he just like goes to town on it, and then all of a sudden his head explodes for how loud it is. Now, that death is very goofy, but it's the only death in this movie that I actually thought was cool and creative, and with it being the only less goofy death of the franchise, or just in this movie in general, it's not horrible, but it's still kind of bad, but I get some enjoyment out of the kill. Kinda. Now, for my final positive. I don't like this movie. It is the Alice Cooper cameo that goes on in this movie, where Alice Cooper had a quick cameo as Freddy Krueger's stepfather, I believe. Where, yeah, it was a stepfather. And, where, like, it shows when Freddy Krueger was a teenager and he's, like, cutting himself with a razor blade and everything. And then all of a sudden, Alice Cooper starts whipping him with a belt. He's like, more, please. Can I have another whip and stuff? It's like, it's a really weird scene, really. And then he kills him, and the stepfather is played by Alice Cooper. I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan. I'm a huge metal fan, so it was really cool to see one of my favorite artists in a horror movie. Yeah, sure, it's a quick little cameo, and it really didn't need to be there. But again, I could have lived without it. But it was pretty cool to see Alice Cooper in a horror movie. I mean, he did write that badass score for Jason Lives. Now moving on to my mixed aspects, and that's the comedy of this movie, where I understand that the Dream Child had better comedy than this movie. That people will say, I would understand, but when I was talking about the Dream Child, I had a huge issue with the comedy in there, where that was like really when the comedy side of Freddy really started to creep into the franchise, and I wasn't a fan of it in Dream Child. But to me, the comedy in this movie isn't horrible. I do think that it's very unnecessary and it is very unfunny and basically throughout the entire movie. But there are some moments in here and there that got a actual laugh out of me or a chuckle or something like that. Probably the one that really got me to laugh hard was when they were kind of in like a loop, kind of like the Dream Master sequence when they're in a loop, and then they're like, let's see the map, and the guy's like opening and it keeps extending, and then it says you're fucked on it. He's like, I asked you for the map. Well, the map says we're fucked. I really don't understand why that always gets a laugh out of me. I really don't. Really, the other thing that actually got me a pretty good laugh out of me was when Freddy was in the real world and they're beating the shit out of him, making him look like a pussy and everything. Was when Freddy's daughter, yeah, he has a daughter. That's a thing now. And when she like takes his fingers and kind of like bends them back and like breaks them and rips off like some of his hand, and then he goes, "God, I forgot how much it hurts to be human." I don't know. That with the map scene, I don't understand why that gets me to laugh, but it gets a laugh out of me for some reason. Now, moving on to my negatives. The CGI in this movie. is horrible. This was pre CGI. This was when CGI was slowly starting to make its way into Hollywood when it was first being discovered with computer generation. It is horrible. Like, it's like bad. Like, the main standout in this movie that had horrible CGI was when Freddy's head exploded. Where, in the movie where they finally kill off Freddy, and where they stick a pipe bomb in him and he explodes, and then like his head flies to the camera, he throws up one of his heads, and then he just like disappears, and then like these weird sperm fish demon things that gave him this power show up. Like, I'll explain that later, but the CGI in this movie is horrendous. I get it. It's pre 1990s. This was during the early 1990s. This is when computer generation was first coming in during the those days, but it's bad. Like, I don't understand why they would put so much money into that. I don't know why they decided to use it. It is horrendous, especially for being a very practical horror franchise, which is what I miss about 80s horror movies, is that they were all practical and looked awesome, but CGI is just god awful. And especially in this movie. Like I said, it's early for its time, but it's horrible and it's fucking horrendous. Who is in charge about that? This is a real shame for a nightmare movie, and that is the characters. Now, I didn't care for the characters in Dream Master or Dream Child too much, but this is where the characters are horrible. Like, horrendous. Like, I don't remember any of their names except for Carlos, the guy whose head exploded. Other than that, I don't remember jack shit. I remember one character's like the one girl of this movie. Well, actually, there's two girls. There's the daughter of Freddy and the one that was sexually abused by her father. I mean, that alone is just fucked up, and I feel bad for her, but I don't care for her character. She's very unlikable. She's very annoying. A lot of her lines are fucking cringeworthy. Like, they're horrible. Like, they're bad. Like, it's just like, I understand you've witnessed a traumatizing act, but does your acting need to be this fucking bad? And then you get this like weird stoner guy with the dad wanting him to be like him and all that. He's a big stoner dude, and he's basically an idiot. And it's just, I don't. Why is he there? He has no purpose except for just to get stoned and act like a dumbass. That's his only role. That's his only fucking role. And then you got the main character, the only surviving Springwood child. Yeah, that's a real thing. Apparently, in this movie, they show it in the opening sequence where all the Nightmare kids have died. All the Elm Street kids are dead. All the Springwood children have died, except for one. No? Alright, do you expect me to believe that there's only 20, 30 kids in Springwood? I don't believe that for 1 second. No. And then the character that we get, he's the last surviving Elm Street kid or Springwood kid, I don't know. And what's his purpose? And he believes he's the child of Freddy Krueger? Who came up with that? Who just thinks of that? Oh, he's kept me alive because I'm his child. Where did they find out that he had a kid? On a fucking chalkboard? In a crazy teacher's room? That's been teaching invisible kids for 30 years? Maybe explore that more. Maybe explain that a little bit more. But no, they just like, oh yeah, Freddy had a kid. And I think it's me. And it's like John Doe. I can't remember the guy's fucking name, but he's very horrendous in this movie. He's very cringeworthy. He's like, he doesn't even remember his own fucking name when he gets to Springwood. Like, he shows up at the hospital or homeless shelter. I don't know where they bring him. And he's just like, what's your name? I don't know! the, whatever the fuck? The daughter? Look, I don't know. She's just there. And then she finds out she's the daughter of Freddy. We barely know her when we first meet her, and then we explore her after John Doe dies. It's like, okay, we were following this guy, and now we're gonna follow this girl that just randomly shows up and apparently has the same dreams as him. Cool, cool, cool. It's not cool. This movie has a lot of fucking issues. Next positive is that when I was talking about the comedy, there were some things that I liked that got me to laugh, but the rest of the comedies basically didn't work. But this entire fucking movie is a Looney Tunes movie. This is Looney Tunes featuring Freddy Krueger. It's exactly how it sounds. It's a Nightmare on Elm Street type movie, but it has Looney Tunes gags in it. One death has John Doe falling from the sky, and then Freddy pushes like a like a thing of spikes, and then he's like all tired out, like it's like, did you watch a lot of kids cartoons growing up? And then when they first meet him, when he's on the bus, like he just stands there like doing this, like an actual cartoon, and gets hit by the bus, and then he pulls over and he goes like into Springwood, and there's like a outprint of him, like a from a fucking Looney Tunes gag. This entire film, the entire comedy, the entire characters, Freddy Krueger himself is all fucking Looney Tunes. Great. Um, I don't want to watch a fucking Looney Tunes movie. I want to watch a Freddy Krueger movie. You called this movie the final Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Why Looney Tunes? I don't understand. Talk about the acting of this movie. Holy shit. I thought the characters were bad. When I rewatched this movie a few years ago when I would binge watch the franchise, I never noticed it, but oh my fucking god, it is bad. Like it's oh my god. Exception of Robert Englund, who always shines as Freddy Krueger. What I don't understand why he was part of this a part of this. Why is this your legacy? The acting in this movie is horrendous. There's literally a part after the stoner kid guy dies, like Freddy's kid, like she goes up to the one chick that was sexually abused by her father. She goes up to him after he dies. He's like, I tried to save him, but I couldn't do anything. It's like that's your reaction. You know, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of sound like you're proud that he's dead. Are you proud? Because you seem proud. Are you proud? Are you fucking proud? And she's more upset when the John Doe's character dies too, which is really weird. Like, um, you were more upset over this guy's death than the guy you've been trying to help for like 2 years. What? I wanna talk about the fucking chick of this movie. All of her acting is bad. Like, there's some lines where she'll be like, "There's a better way to get you into the dream. There's a better way to get you into the dream." And then, like, she's just, like, apparently, when she falls asleep, she says, like, this weird fucking speech going, all it takes is a little meditation and a little concentration. That's what Doc always said. Like, it sounds like the way she says it, she looks like she's, like, trying to read from a poem. Like, it looks like there was like somebody like following John Doe, so where they couldn't see behind the camera, just holding up the script like, say this. We don't want to miss the shot. Fucking say the say it, bitch. I'm getting mad. I'm getting very mad over this fucking movie. Fuck this whole kid Freddy thing going on, where it's showing that Freddy Krueger had a kid. You're meaning to tell me a man who kidnapped over 20 children in the neighborhood, murdered them, possibly raped them, by the way, too, had a child and a wife? I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a moment that he had a wife and a child. Because he's a child murderer and he's a fucked up dude. Don't you think the wife would have, like, noticed that? Like, and he also had a girl as a child, which says a lot. If he was a child murderer and possibly a child diddler, and he had a girl daughter, and he has a daughter, that says a lot. I'm not gonna say anything. Just try and understand what I'm pointing out here. Daughter, possible child. Well, he is a child murderer and and possible child molester. I'll let it sink in for like a minute. And what are the rest of these kills? I mentioned that I liked Carlos's death. I thought his was pretty fine, I guess. But the rest of the kills are horrendous. Like, there's one video game death where it had horrible one-liners. There's a fucking Power Glove reference during that. Like, they take away the controller so he can't control Spencer anymore or try and kill him. Then all of a sudden he has like a Power Glove. Hey, you forgot the Power Glove! It's like, really? We're gonna reference that fucking glove that was basically dog shit? Why? Why a Power Glove? Of all electronics in the fucking world, a Power Glove. He's just like controlling him, like punching the shit out of him, and then there's like a weird whole sequence going on where there's like a bunch of video game noises, like he's jumping like jumping that makes it sound like Mario noises. And then he jumps through, and then he gets crashed through a fucking window. It's a horrible death. That's all. I'm not even gonna acknowledge the death. I'm not even gonna talk about it. It's just bad. It's a horrible death. It's a horrible fucking scene. It's a horrible fucking gag. I'm getting mad. I already mentioned that spike fucking kill where Krueger pushes like a little fucking spike thing, and then he falls to the fucking ground and then stabs by it. Well, it sounds like a fucking Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes, anybody? I don't fucking care how Freddy Krueger became Freddy Krueger. This entire movie, where it's supposed to be the final nightmare, it's also trying to explore more of Freddy's lore and how he became the man he is. Like, it shows us when he was a kid how he was traumatized. It showed us that he was abused by his stepfather. We see that he was burned alive by all the parents on, oh, well, not on Elm Street, all the parents of Springwood. And then apparently little sperm fishy things said that he could be a dream demon and kill people. That's not a thing. Sperm fish demon thingies aren't a thing. That you don't get just powers and then all of a sudden they go into him and then he just I don't care. I don't care how Freddy Krueger became the dream demon that we know him as. Does anybody care? Does anybody fucking care how he became the way he is? No, I don't think so. Nobody gives two flying fucks why he is the dream demon, how he was able to come into our dreams. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. I don't need that answered. It's basically a prequel, and if they ever made a prequel to Freddy Krueger, I would never watch it because they would use this source. And little sperm fish. Little sperm fish. That's a thing. That's a real thing these days. This franchise has so much going on. And for my final positive, so you can all finally hear me shut up ranting on this movie, is the fucking 3D gimmick. If you did not know, New Line were cheap fucks and decided to film this movie, and then they're like, oh, well, we need another 100 to 2,000 more seats. We're gonna make the last 10 minutes of the movie in 3D. So what happens is that Freddy Krueger's daughter puts on these glasses, and then when she fucking and then they sink into her or fade away to where she sees everything in 3D. She does like a little thing like, "Well, look at my hand." And then like there's a bunch of 3D shit going on, like the little sperm fishy demon things flashing at the camera and all that. Like coming like showing up like and then Freddy's daughter knocks off Freddy's glove and then flies out the camera like, "Oh, look out, 3D! Holy shit!" This is why I hate 3D movies. Flying out the camera. What do you really want to feel like that something's actually coming towards you? I don't. You have to pay extra. It hurts your fucking eyes, and just I'm gonna shut up now so you could continue on with your lovely day and not having to hear me talk about bullshit. All in all, guys, this movie sucks. This is a poorly made film. Horrible acting, horrible characters, a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. But I will say this. Is it as bad as everybody makes it out to be? Yes, it is. Is it one of those movies where it's so bad it's good? No. But is it one of those movies where I can point at it and laugh at it for how bad it is? Fuck yes. If you want to watch a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that you want to point at and laugh at it for how bad this is the movie for you. And if you want to watch a Freddy Krueger movie where it's the Looney Tunes cartoon all the way through, this movie's definitely for you. But if you're a hardcore Nightmare on Elm Street fan like me, you definitely just need to go ahead and skip this one. What do you guys think about Freddy's Dead: A New Nightmare? Have you seen this movie? What did you think about it? Are you like the 1% of the earth that actually really loves this movie? Or are you like me and the rest of the world that hates this movie? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But, of course, until my next video, see you next time.